My name is Taryn Baumgart. I'm here to welcome everyone and get the active session rolling. So I hope you're ready to start moving and get the blood flowing. Hopefully you have your Gatorade squeeze bottle, a towel, and a backpack handy. As I'm happy to introduce to you Tina Johnson, who will be taking you through a 30-minute at-home active session. I'll just quickly introduce Tina here. She's a nutrition specialist for Crash Conditioning in Calgary and Cujo Conditioning. She resides in Lloydminster, where she's also a strength and conditioning coach with the Cujo Conditioning Program. She also teaches at Lakeland College in Lloydminster, while continuing to be a strength and conditioning coach at Cujo Conditioning. She works with athletes and clients from around the world and is passionate about helping them achieve their goals through improving their nutrition and lifestyle habits. So welcome, Tina. Thank you so much for joining us today, and I will just turn it over to you.
Great, thanks so much. Hi, everybody. I've heard that everyone's excited for the active session. So maybe if you guys have been sitting all morning, I've heard you guys have had lots of great talks already. So this one, we're going to make a little bit more active. I'm just going to talk for about a minute or two, and then we'll get rolling. So firstly, yeah, obviously, you guys heard my little intro. So I've been working in the strength and conditioning field and the nutrition field for quite a long time now. I've been working with athletes, lots of hockey athletes too. So as you heard, you guys probably have heard of Crash Conditioning before. He does lots of talks and posts for Hockey Alberta. And so we also do a division of Crash Conditioning here in Lloydminster. So my husband runs that, and I help out with that as well, along with teaching at the college. So I teach about nutrition and strength and conditioning and health and all those different topics too. So yeah, so we're kind of in a very interesting place right now in the world where we're having to do a lot of things from home, right? I know it's pretty disappointing that you guys aren't able to really, be playing hockey. So there's definitely a lot of issues or barriers per se in terms of trying to get out and get active. But I think what's really important to remember, there's a lot of things that we can certainly do at home, or even going outside and doing things locally too, right? One of the best things that we can do is just moving our bodies every day. Getting out for walks is always a great thing. You guys probably have some access to different types of outdoor rinks, or maybe cross-country skiing, or maybe you guys go skiing in the mountains, or completely depends on where you live. So just thinking about staying active is really, really important. The big thing too really is, I know that probably a lot of you are doing things from home. So maybe you're doing school from home. You're probably sitting a lot. A lot of people are sitting way more than what they're used to, including myself, which has actually caused some issues in terms of, maybe some aches and pains or things that are feeling really tight that don't normally feel tight. So I think probably one of the biggest take-home messages, which hopefully and probably you've heard multiple times before, is just this concept of like, we can't stay sitting for long periods of time. So you guys should make sure, if you guys are, doing school from home, if you're doing other things from home, make sure that every hour you guys are getting up and moving around and taking a break, right? So there's lots of different ways that we can do that. Even just getting up and moving, doing a few different types of stretches. There's all different kinds of things that are available out there. Even like, maybe you guys have like an Apple Watch, there's an Apple Fitness app. There's all kinds of different things that you can either pay a minimum amount of money for or find for free on YouTube too. So without further ado, I'm not going to keep talking too long. So let's just go ahead and get started. So I know we have our other person who's going to be helping me out here. So I'm going to have to kind of adjust my camera because I'm going to be standing, and then we're going to be doing some things on the floor. So make sure you just give her a heads up if you can't hear me or you can't see me. And then that way she can just go ahead and let me know if something's happening or if you can't see something, okay? So we're going to start with a little warm up first, okay? So I'm just going to go ahead and kind of get organized here. Hopefully you guys are going to be able to see me, so I'll back up a little bit. Let's see. Okay, so all we're going to do is we're just going to kind of warm up by just like walking on the spot, okay? So you guys can just lift your legs and swing your arms. So while we're just doing a bit of a warm up here, guys, let me mention a couple of things, because obviously we're doing it at home session, right? So I want to make sure that everybody can kind of follow along with whatever you have at home. So we're going to use a backpack. But if you have other things at home, like let's say, for example, you have a kettlebell or you have some dumbbells, absolutely feel free to use those as, some extra weight today, okay? Okay, so we've done a little bit of walking. So now we're just gonna go ahead and let's do some high knees on the spot. Okay, so we're gonna bring our knees up. Nice and high. We're gonna stay on the balls of our feet. Next, we'll do some butt kicks. Okay, so hopefully you guys can see me. I'm just kicking my heels up towards my butt. Okay, perfect. Now what we're gonna go ahead and do is we're just gonna do some toe touches. So just gonna go ahead and you're just gonna reach down for your toes. So what you should be feeling is like a nice little stretch in the back of the legs, okay? So how I do that is I'm gonna keep my back fairly flat. I'm not gonna round out. As soon as I round my back like this, it takes the hamstrings out of it. So I'm gonna keep my back nice and flat. Just push my hips back, and I'm feeling a good stretch in my hamstrings there. Probably especially because I sit a lot more now too, right? So that's gonna cause those hamstrings to get tight. Okay, next, let's just do a lunge. Okay, so we're gonna get into a lunge position here, and we're gonna add in an overhead stretch. So what I want you guys to focus on is feeling a stretch in the front of your hip here. Okay, and then we're just gonna hold those arms overhead. So you should feel a stretch through your shoulder. Then let's go ahead and switch sides. So think about squeezing your butt, open that hip up, and reach up. Great. Okay, next what we're gonna do is now I'm gonna just go ahead and put one foot in front of the other, and I'm gonna pull my toe up. I apologize if you can't really see that. I'll just move my screen down a little bit. Okay, so I'm gonna pull my toe up and I'm gonna lean forward. Okay, we can just do like a sweeping motion. And again, you should feel a stretch through the back of your legs, your hamstring and your calf there. Stand up, do the other one. So heel in front, pull your toe up and sweep. We're just gonna alternate a few times here, okay? Great. Okay, next what we're gonna do is we are gonna do 3 little jogs, and then we're gonna stretch your quad, okay? So you're just gonna go ahead and pull that leg back. 3 little jogs, and do the other leg, like so. 3 little jogs, stretch. 3 little jogs, and other side. Okay, next what we're gonna do is we're just gonna do what we call some Frankensteins, but basically we're just kicking our leg up like so. So we're just gonna alternate those. Again, we're just kind of warming up those hamstrings and those legs and the hips. Okay, awesome. So now what we're gonna do is I'm just gonna adjust my computer here, because now we're gonna take it down to the floor and we're gonna do some warm-ups on the floor. So I'm just gonna try to make sure I'm in the camera. Okay, perfect. So what we're gonna do here, guys, is we're gonna warm up our hips a little bit. So obviously you guys are hockey players, you guys know the importance of warming up your hips really well. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna kick up like this. So let's do this 5 times. Great. Now what we're gonna do is I'm gonna lift my knee out to the side. So it's gonna look like this. And we're gonna do that 5 times. Okay, and now this time we're just gonna go straight back with our leg. 5 times. And now let's do the exact same thing on the other leg. Okay, so we're gonna go straight up. Now we're gonna lift out to the side. And then straight back. Awesome. Okay, next what we're gonna do is we're gonna do a little bit of core activation here. So what I want you guys to do is I want you to pretend you have a glass of water on your back here. Okay, it's sitting in your low back. And we don't wanna spill that glass of water, okay? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna lift our opposite arm and leg at the same time, like so. So we're gonna reach forward and we're gonna have to do it really carefully because we don't wanna spill that glass of water. Okay, now try the other side. So this is a good way to really get that core activated and making sure we're not favoring one side. So it's a nice, slow, steady motion. If you really wanted to challenge yourself, you could actually put some water on your back if you wanted to test yourself. Great. So before we move on to the next thing, I'm just gonna kind of pop on and make sure, can everyone hear me okay so far? See me okay? Yeah, okay, awesome. Thanks guys for the response. Great. Okay, lastly, we're just gonna do a little bit of a shoulder warm up, okay? Maybe you guys have done these before. We do them all the time with our hockey players. We warm up our hips really well. We warm up the shoulders really well too. So we're gonna do some LYTWs, okay? So we're gonna do those face down on the ground. And if you have not done LYTWs before, well, basically what we're gonna do is we're gonna be spelling those letters with our arms. Okay, so I think everyone can see me. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and spell an L, then I'm gonna do a Y, then I'm gonna go ahead and put my arms up to the side with my thumbs pointing down, and that's my T. So what I'm doing is I'm squeezing my shoulder blades together, okay? So I'm thinking about moving my arms with my shoulder blades, okay? W is here, okay? So we're gonna do L, Y, thumbs down for the T, and then a W, okay? L, Y, T, W. One more time, L, Y, T, W. Great, okay. So let's go ahead and let's get into some movements, okay? So what you guys can do is, here's when you can grab your backpack. So I have a backpack here. The awesome thing about backpacks, guys, is that I'm sure if any of you are doing any schoolwork from home, you've probably got lots of heavy textbooks. I've got lots of textbooks at home because of the fact that I teach and I always read a lot. So I've got tons of textbooks, okay? Of course, there's other things you can put in your backpack too, right? And if you find it's kind of clunky or moving around too much, just put some extra towels in it. So here's my backpack. Sorry, I'm just gonna adjust my screen again. So if you guys want to put your backpack on your back, you sure can. So what we're going to do first is we're going to do some squats, which I'm sure probably lots of you have done before, okay? So I'm going to do some demonstrations from the side and from the front. So I got my backpack on my back. If you wanted to hold your backpack in front, that's fine too. So we're going to push our hips back. And if we put our arms out in front of us, that helps to keep our chest up. Okay, so we really want to push our hips back. Also, what I'm doing is I am driving my knees out so they stay over top of my feet. Okay. So we're gonna do 10 of those. All right, take a little break for a minute. So if you need to add more weight, go for it. If that felt challenging enough, that's fine too. So one thing that's really important to remember is that if you guys are doing things at home by yourself, what can really help actually is if you video yourself doing things, because that way you can actually see if you're doing them correctly. So some of you might be working on Zoom with, you know, a coach or things like that, which is great, but probably there's a lot of you who may not be. So if you kind of wanted to do some form checks, you could always do that. Take a video of yourself and then play it back. And it's like, hey, how does this look, right? Okay, we're gonna try another set here, guys. So ready? And arms up and down, okay? Driving those knees over top of the toes and the feet. So I'll do a few from the side. Awesome. Okay, next we're gonna take our backpack off of our back. And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna do some bent over rows with our backpack. So what I want here is a nice flat back, okay? I'm gonna hold my backpack, so both of the handles here. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna keep my elbow tucked in, and I'm gonna row up. So think about pulling your backpack, pulling your hand up towards your armpit. It's kind of like, I don't know if any of you have ever maybe had to mow the lawn. Maybe you're trying to start the lawnmower. Okay, one more on this side. Awesome. Now we're gonna do the same thing on the other side. So think about that nice flat back, okay? So we wanna pull back, bringing that hand towards my armpit or to my ribs right here. So you should feel your shoulder blade pinching in towards your spine. Those are the muscles that we're trying to work in there, okay? Or the muscles in between our shoulder blades. So it's important to keep those nice and strong and hockey. Good. Let's switch back to our other arm. It had a little bit of a break now, so we're gonna go back to the other side. Great. Now, of course, if you needed to make it a little bit more challenging, you could always add more books in, right? But this one, you probably need a little bit less weight than you did with your squats because we're doing an upper body movement. So typically our upper body isn't going to be as strong as our lower body, right? Our lower body muscles are just larger and stronger. Great. Okay, take a little break there. How's that going so far, guys? Are you guys feeling some muscles working? Yeah, okay, awesome. Okay, let's go ahead and we're gonna do some hamstring work. Okay, so I'm gonna show you guys a few different ways that you can do some hamstring stuff here. So if any of you have a foam roller at home, some of you probably do, you could totally use a foam roller, or a towel works really well for this too. Okay, so I'm gonna try to angle my camera in a way that you can see. If you don't have either, so for example, with the towel, you need to make sure that you have a slippery floor. It's not gonna work on carpet. So once I demonstrate this and you wanna move to an area where you have like some hard flooring, you absolutely can. Or you can do the other versions too, okay? So let me just point my camera down here. So we're gonna do some hamstring work. So I'm gonna show you the first version, which is like a glute bridge. Okay, so I'm gonna lie down on my back and I'm gonna push my hips up into the air. So when I push my hips up, I wanna squeeze my butt nice and tight, okay? And you should feel the back of your legs working here. So we're gonna relax down and push up. Squeeze your hips at the top. Okay, that's version one. If you have a towel, okay, I'm gonna show you another version that you guys can do too. Let me just go ahead and. So basically with the towel, this is gonna be like my slider. So I'm gonna put my heels on the towel, okay? So I'm gonna do the same thing. So I'm gonna go ahead and lift my hips up, and now I can slide my heels towards my butt and back out. So if you guys have ever done these before, they're pretty challenging. They work really well, okay? And that's something super simple that you can do at home. Or you can do the same idea with the foam roller. So you can have your heels or your feet on the foam roller, lift up and roll in and out. Okay, so do one of those versions, and then now I'm going to show you another way that you can actually make that one a little bit more complicated, or if that feels too easy, we can make it more complex. So I'm going to go back to my towel because the foam roller is just a little bit slippery for me. So I'm going to go back to the towel. Okay, so I showed you this version. So hips up, okay, slide your feet out and then in. So if you really want to challenge yourself, what you can do is lift one leg up and just work one hamstring at a time. That's pretty tough, especially for me, maybe not for you. So that's a way that you can do that, okay? So let's try 10 of each. Or sorry, 10 per side. So you guys select the version that you'd like to do there. I'm just gonna show you guys as well how you can do that one without a towel or a foam roller. Okay, so I'm gonna do 5 normal here. So our glute bridges, squeeze nice and tight at the top. Then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna lift one leg up and do the same thing. And that's when you probably really feel those hamstrings firing. Okay, let's switch to the other leg, leg up. So those are just some different versions you can do to obviously gauge in terms of how tough you need to make it, right? Which is kind of nice. There's lots of different ways that we can make it easier or harder without a lot of equipment. Okay, one other thing we're gonna do right now, since we were using our towel, is we're gonna do some lateral strides with our towel. Again, we do these a lot with our hockey players, working on a lot of that groin and adductor strength. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna stand up. Let me just adjust my camera here for you guys. So I'm gonna have my towel on the ground. So I'm gonna start with, so one of my feet are on my mat and my other foot's on my towel. I think you guys can see that there. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna stay nice and upright. I'm gonna slide this leg out with my towel. So you see how this leg that's on the mat is bending, right? I'm getting down into a really good skater stride here. Then I'm gonna pull this towel back towards this leg by using this leg. Okay, so I'm gonna go down, out laterally, come up. Okay, out and up. This is a pretty good one, right? It's not only does it give a good stretch, but we get to add some strength in there. Let's do one more on this side. Okay, and then switch sides. So I'm gonna just kind of turn this way. So if I switch sides totally, then you're probably gonna see the back. Okay, so out and then pull that towel in. So stride out and in, out and in. Let's do one more on this side, out and in. Great, so that works really well. That's an easy one to do with just a regular towel. You just need a type of slippery floor. Did you guys feel that one through the groin? Probably in your hips a little bit. Yes, great, awesome. Okay, let's do another upper body exercise and then maybe a little bit of core, okay? I know time's flying, right? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna grab our backpack again. So this one I'm just gonna adjust up because I'm gonna be lifting this above my head. Okay, so here I've got my backpack. I'm gonna hold onto the handles of my backpack at each end, okay? And what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna lift the backpack up above my head, bring it back down to just in front of my chest. You guys see that? So while I'm lifting, I wanna keep my core nice and tight. Okay, I'm not arching back. Maybe I'll do a couple from the side so you guys can see what I look like through here. Squeeze my bum, keep my belly button pulled in. Okay, if you didn't maybe have a lot of weight at home, you could always do one arm at a time. that would work as well. Right, we could switch sides and we could push up this way. So that's a great way to just go ahead and help build up a little bit of strength in those shoulders. Let's do one more here. Awesome. Okay, we're gonna get back down to our mat again because we're just gonna end with some core, okay? I'm gonna show you guys some variations of some planks we can do. You guys have probably done lots of planks in the past, right? So we'll just do a few different types. Planks are great. They work quite a few different muscles throughout the abdominal region. And of course, with any type of sport, especially with hockey too, we need to use lots of core, right? So they're an easy one to do where we can challenge ourselves really easily over time as well, right? So we can do that by increasing the amount of time that we're holding it for. You know, we can change up how we're doing it. So the first one we're gonna do that you guys have probably done lots. So we'll just do this for a few seconds, is of course on your toes and your forearms, right? So here, we wanna squeeze our bum. We wanna pull our belly button up to our spine. We don't want our hips up and we don't wanna saggy back. Okay, so this is why sometimes taking a video of yourself can really be helpful. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna tap our toes out to the side. So out to the side. So we're gonna keep our weight on our arms and the one foot that's on the ground, tapping our toes. Awesome. Okay, we're gonna take a little break there. We're gonna do one more version of that. This one is going to be more complicated, okay? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna lift an opposite arm and leg at the same time while we're holding that plank, okay? So again, think about balancing that glass of water on your back and trying to make all of your movements really nice and controlled and slow, okay? So we're gonna start just in our plank here. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna lift my opposite arm and leg. Bring them back down and lift. As you can see, this is challenging. I'm shaking a little bit, but that's okay. Great. Okay, we're gonna do one more core exercise. Dead bugs. So I'm just gonna give you guys a little bit of cueing, okay? And then we'll wrap it up here. I know you guys are probably tired and hungry. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna lay on our back. And the very important thing about this one here is we wanna make sure that we're pushing our low back into the ground. So we have to think about pulling our belly button down towards the ground, okay? We can't let our low back come off the ground at all, right? So normally you guys can put your hands under your back. Right now you shouldn't be able to when you have your belly button pulled in, okay? So let's put our legs in the air, our hands here. And now what we're gonna do is we're just going to drop our opposite leg and hand, okay? Like so. I wanna keep my low back in the ground. Okay, bring them back together and opposite. So down and up. Okay, opposite and up. So what we're trying to do here is keep that low back in the ground, which can be tough to do. Try a couple more of those. Great. Okay, so what we're gonna do now, guys, is, I know that we're pretty much out of time here, so I'm just gonna do a couple of stretches, and if any of you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'll stay on here for a little bit. I know some of you might need to get going or do other things or have a bite to eat, but since you don't have a session next, I'm happy to stay on here and answer any questions that you guys have. So thanks for joining my session. Hopefully you guys got a little bit of a workout in there for a short amount of time anyway, right? So what we're gonna do for a stretch is, I always like this one. So one leg in front, the other one can just stay with your foot flush to the inner thigh there and just leaning forward. So pulling that toe towards us, you should feel a stretch there through the calf and the hamstring. Yeah, go ahead. You have a question, RJ. Let me just bring my, can we do a cartwheel? Sure, you can do a cartwheel if you like, as long as you're in a safe place. Can we do a cartwheel and a back bend? Well, sure you can. I'm just not going to do it with you. That's all. If you're asking me to lead it for you, it's probably not a good idea. But yeah, if there's extra things that you want to do at home, go for it. Yeah, you can leave the Zoom if you want to. That's totally fine. Did you play hockey? You know what? I didn't actually play hockey myself. No, I didn't.
Tina, if you'd like, I can just go through a bit of a wrap up, and then sure. You can answer any of the questions that come through, if that works.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Okay, sounds good. Well, thank you so much for taking us through that. That was awesome. I'm just gonna share my screen here, so just give me one second. Just give me one more second here. Yeah, so like I was saying, we so appreciate you taking the time to get us active today. And with that, we're coming to the end of day one of Female Hockey Day. So we hope you've enjoyed today's panels and presentations. We've gone through nutrition, the Team Alberta panel, opportunities in hockey, and just finished with the at-home active session. Just a few reminders, coming up at 1:30, we have our parent session starting, covering supporting your child in sport, supporting female hockey in your community, and the importance of female leaders. These are included, and you can access these sessions through the email link sent yesterday. So as you can see, I have shared the parent sessions up on the screen. And just, to wrap up, make sure you keep hydrated with your Gatorade squeeze bottle and have it fueled up and ready to go for 9 a.m. kickoff tomorrow. And have a great rest of your Saturday. And we so look forward to seeing you all tomorrow. Right now, so Tina has offered to stay on and answer some questions. So we can for sure do that. And yeah, so I will stop sharing my screen here. And let's see if we have a few questions.
I think someone was asking if, I'm not sure what's on the schedule for tomorrow at all for your sessions tomorrow. Do you happen to know off the top of your head what you guys are doing?
Oh, the schedule for tomorrow?
Yeah.
Yes, we have mental skills in the morning, national team panel, and a yoga session. So there's another active session tomorrow.
You guys do yoga tomorrow, so that will be great too. Yes, yeah, you can absolutely leave. So if you want to head out, then you can. Or if you had some questions, that's cool too.
I have one here, Tina, from Sarah. What would you say is the best after game stretches?
After game stretches? Yeah, that's a great question. I think really in terms of stretching after a game, you're probably really wanting to kind of focus on some of those hips, right? So thinking about, for example, I always like the frog stretch. So that's a good groin stretch, right? So that would look like this. So that's a great one. Then of course we could do a few other hip stretches like so. I think focusing on the hips is probably the big one because you produce so much power on the ice and are using your hips so much. That's probably going to be the major area, but of course it might just be dependent on the person too, and if they have any areas in particular that they need to focus on as well. So yeah, I would say the hips, but of course, if there's extra things in there too, then that's always a great idea if there's other areas of tightness or concern for sure.
Totally. And then I think just the last one here, why did you start, or what got you interested in, teaching about nutrition?
Well, exercise and nutrition really kind of go hand in hand. And so I've spent a lot of my time working in terms of the strength and conditioning field, and I did my master's in kind of both areas. So I focused on supplementation and resistance training during my master's. And it's just been a passion of mine, because at the end of the day, nutrition plays such a big role in terms of our ability to feel good, but also, of course, when it comes to athletes in terms of performance. So I really like to help athletes figure out those things and obviously help them perform the best that they can.
Definitely. No, that's so awesome. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm sure that was a good one to get the blood flowing, and some great exercises for kids and athletes to look at and consider doing at home. And you don't need a ton to be able to get in a good workout. So that's awesome.
Yeah, I worked up a little bit of a sweat.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I know I was having to adjust my screen kind of all over the place, but yeah.
No, it worked really well.
Okay.
So I think that kind of brings us to the end of the session, and we will see everyone tomorrow at 9 a.m. And again, don't forget about the parent sessions this afternoon starting at 1:30. Those will be really, really impactful. So look forward to seeing you all tomorrow.